Welcome back, dweebs. Happy Sunday. It's a very special edition of, well, just Agatha. It's not Oz and Agatha today, gang. It is Agatha All Along, all day long. And we have a very special guest with us, a
Hi.
fellow dweeb, Headbug Inc., Jade. Welcome, Jade. Thank you so much for being here. How are you this Sunday evening? Afternoon. It's afternoon, right?
Afternoon, 4 o'clock. It's fine. I'm in the future. It's all good. Yeah, doing well. Doing good.
Well, thank you again for joining. And for everybody who is new here or hasn't been along for the ride, we normally split this show in half, talk about Agatha for 30 minutes, the Penguin afterward. We will be still talking about the Penguin at a later date, another episode coming out tonight, but we are solely focused here tonight on the final 2 episodes of Agatha All Along, and then we'll give our thoughts on the series as a whole, maybe some predictions, but it is good to not be alone on this one, Jade, because I was going to have some serious backtracking to do this whole time. I've been talking about how wonderful and great this show is, and then episode 8 happened. And so before we review the show as a whole, talk about any plot holes, any predictions, I want to know from you first, what are your just general thoughts, episodes 8, episode 9, and then we'll get into all the details as to why we feel this way.
To sum it up, episode 8 sucked. It wasn't good. It just wasn't good at all. Episode 9 was okay. Episode 9 sort of brought it back a little bit. It was like, okay, we disappointed you. We're going to bring you back from the ledge a little bit just to like make everything cool. But other than that, can I say I was surprised? No. Can I say I was like uber disappointed? No. But I wasn't like elated about it either.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Episode 8 was really bad. It had me thinking that, oh man, it's like I got tricked again. Like this is just going to completely fall apart at the seams in the 11th hour. And episode 9, while I have my critiques and we will certainly get into them, I agree with you in the idea that it brought me back a little bit. It wasn't as bad as episode 8, and it did pay off some things. Gave in some of the backstory that I thought added a lot to just the song itself, and we'll talk about that specifically. But yeah, generally speaking, it felt like it almost reminds me of like a Stephen King novel from the cocaine era. Like it was so good until it got to the point where it needed to be wrapped up coherently and make any kind of sense, and then it was just like, yeah, nah, we're seduce stuff, whatever. We'll get there.
Yeah, they tried to stuff a lot into like a very small box, and they were like, "Don't worry about it. We'll just keep going, and it'll be fine at the end. Like, don't look at it too closely."
Exactly. We'll figure this out. Don't worry about it. What is up? It doesn't tell me who this is. Facebook user. Hello. Appreciate you. Shadow Humor. Welcome, sir. Welcome, brother. And James. Just popping in to say hi, can't hang around. That's fine, because there will be plenty of spoilers, and now is probably a great time to throw that up there. There we go. Full-on spoilers. Hard to really talk about any of this without spoiling the rest of it, so if you want to just go watch it for yourself, completely understand. We'll see you next time. Come back around. Leave a like on your way out. It is Nate. What's up, Nate? Thank you, Nate, Facebook user. We appreciate you. Shout out from Facebook prison? I don't know what's going on with over there, brother. Okay, spoiler talk. Let's get in. Episode 8 was awful. Jade, why, in your opinion, was it awful? I guess maybe before, let me just, for the people who are watching but didn't watch. Okay, it's the final trial, right? Episode 8 is the final trial. We won't go beat by beat, but Jade, what bothered you about this episode 8?
I think the trial itself bothered me. I thought it was clever. I thought the concept of the trial itself was clever, but I think how it played out was rubbish. They could have done a lot better with it. Just the idea of that this is meant to be the end of the trial. This is meant to be like Agatha herself says, it's meant to be all fireworks and like massive displays and like wondrous things are going on. This is where you're going to get your prize. And then they end up in a morgue.
In Agatha's basement.
In Agatha's basement. In drawers, in body bags, just like, what the hell is this? Fine. There's grow lights up above them that are like switching off. Can I just point out, did it annoy you? Did it annoy you how sort of like uneven the lights were turning off? Because that bugged me. Like at 1 minute, it's going minute by minute, and then you see a scene where 3 go off all at once, and it's like, okay.
That is okay. We're talking about this. Yes, that is on my list of shit that drives me insane. In the soon to be released Alien Romulus review, I will complain about that to no end when it comes to the ammo in her machine gun, where it's just like they show it all the way consistently going down to about 17 shots, and then somehow she's got like 8 minutes worth of ammo after that. Why did you bother showing it to me if it wasn't going to be consistent? And it wasn't going to be you like, I don't know. It was just dumb. I hate the inconsistency of it where it's just. So yeah, that it was a bit of a nuisance. Also, I don't know. The whole trial just kind of sucked.
Yeah. I don't know whether they were trying to go for this thing where it's like, oh, the trial was meant to be an Earth trial. It's meant to be about life, death, the cycle of life and death, growth, personal growth. For an Earth trial?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, getting your power back and binding, finding your a vessel for your brother's spirit, which you've apparently just been carrying. So he's had Billy and Tommy in there, maybe. Apparently, that's how I interpreted that. That he's just both brothers
living
are in
his head. Yeah, that's what I got from it as well.
That's certainly a way to do it. Okay, let's find him a new home. And yeah, and then she plants a seed with Nikki's hair and grows a dandelion.
I think the symbolism of it is that she set these two free rather than getting out of it herself. She put them first. That was her personal growth moment, was that she sacrificed or that she saved them first. And then she gets this dandelion seed out of her locket. It just appears out of nowhere. No explanation for that. And then she plants it in the dirt, grows the flower, and out she goes. That's it.
And that's the way. And her prize was that the very Indiana Jones style, the ceiling caves in on her. She has to run out her own attic door to escape. She doesn't actually. The rest of them just get poofed. You know, they're just like, "Boop, you're gone." And they're like, "No, here's a big boulder you have to evade."
Yeah, she's like, "You've got to dig yourself out."
Ridiculous. And you talk about that growth, and that is there. I definitely agree with that. Unfortunately, the show's going to undo it about 5 minutes later by the time we get to the climax of episode 8, which was another just infuriating aspect of it for me, because she just grows, ungrows, flips. She just so very inconsistent in those final few minutes. So that was something else that kind of bugged me. And while we're here talking about Rio's inconsistency, what the hell was that? She needed the boy for very specific reasons, right? Because he was an abomination. He didn't follow the natural laws of the universe. And that was something that needed to be set right. And then all of a sudden at the end, when Agatha doesn't deliver and she says, I'll have to take you now. Well, then Billy shows up, ex machina, shows up to save her. And Rio just changes her mind and says, oh, hey, you guys decide. Whoever, one of you has to stay with me, but you can decide. What the hell were we doing here then in the first place?
What are the rules of death in this universe? I don't understand. I don't understand. Hey, dDweebs in the chat.
What's up, D-Dub?
Yeah, I don't understand the rules of death. They've changed the rules of death throughout the series. And now for the whole of the Marvel universe, I think like this is going to impact everything going forward.
Where, yeah, really makes you
Yeah.
mad at certain aspects that have happened before, and now how is anything going to be taken seriously? So I guess we'll just let the cat out of the bag here, and or as Rob Zombie would say, we'll dig through these ditches and burn through the witches here. Agatha, of course, after flip-flopping, decide we can't just skim past that. After pulling the dumbest 180 or 360, I guess, that I've ever seen, she betrays the boy. She betrays Billy. I keep calling him the boy. She betrays Billy. So I'm just a covenless witch. And then Billy gets to her mind and says, "Is this how Nikki died?" And somehow, even though she forgot this experience earlier in the third or fourth trial when Nikki said, "Mama, stop," like oh, as if she's not thinking about Nikki this entire time. It's just Billy says, "Is this how Nikki died?" And then she's like, "Oh, guess what? I changed my mind. Just one of you has to go." The whole thing is so very frustrating. What are your thoughts on how episode 8 wrapped up? And what is up, Farrar? Hello.
I didn't like it. I just didn't like it. That's all I can say is I just didn't like it. I don't like how they've portrayed her as this female character who just can't make up her mind. And that seems to be every female character in this series is like they can't make up their mind. They don't know what they want. They need the young male to lead them through and teach them how to make decisions. Can I say that?
Yeah, absolutely. We need some of that to level this channel out. Okay,
Yeah,
fire
like,
away. Fuck the patriarchy today. All right?
But it's just, and then we get that she's not a woman's woman, is Agatha. She will like just kill off all the witches that she wants. She's not interested in like, apart from Rio. Rio seems to be the only woman she really gets on with, and she hates her. So yeah, the fact that she did this flip flop at the end, I suppose we're supposed to be reminded that she's this evil character. To me, she just looked like a knobhead. Like,
yeah, like an idiot. You just can't
like
make
an
up
idiot.
your mind. Like what? Thought she had this plan, she helps Billy escape, and then oh
She's
wait,
like,
no,
oh, you remind me of my son that's now dead, and yeah, that's fine. Off you go, kill yourself.
see
Bye.
ya.
Like, oh no, actually, you still remind me of him. I better like sort you out.
You're right. I forgot. It's like she had a moment of clarity.
Yeah,
As if
I
she
know
had just been
she's
on a
not the
bender
most...
the whole night before. Like, oh wait,
Exactly.
I'd already learned this lesson. Whoops. Never mind.
She got a power. She got zooped, and then she had amnesia for a few seconds, and then she remembered everything that happened before she got zooped. So it's fine. No.
Yes, it's like Ryan Johnson before he evolved into his second form, when he's just, do you have an expectation? Let's just subvert that then. Why? Because fuck you is why. What are you talking about?
Exactly. So then she does this uber dramatic scene of kissing Rio, and the death scene where she falls and she becomes the flowers, because why wouldn't she? She's a woman. She would become a bed of flowers. That would happen. And Rio's just standing there. And interesting, we didn't see Rio hang around that long when Agatha died. She just walked off straight away, but she hung around for Alice, and we saw Alice being taken away by death. We saw that lovely scene where she walks off and she's like, no, is this all there is? This is meant to be the beginning. And then walks off. Don't see that for Agatha. She's just like, nah, sod her. No, she's dumped me for the last time, and off she walks.
I told you to quit following me around. I specifically said that. I probably changed my mind 3 times since I said that, but I flipped a coin and I'm still mad at you. That's how I think Agatha was probably feeling about that at that time. But yeah, and also just to circle back and beat a dead horse, at that point, she then had Billy all to herself and said, "You can go." Like, wait, you had a serious problem with him existing. And now you don't just because you got to end your ex-girlfriend like that. Again, it just that was one of the ones where I was like, there's no logic to this character. Isn't this supposed to be like a god level person entity?
So we know that Billy stole a life and it's meant to be 1 for 1 and everything else, which to me doesn't make sense because someone died in order for him to live. So that deal was already like settled as far as I'm concerned. So that didn't make any sense. So she goes on this hunt for him. Like, no, he's an abomination. He's going to bring back his brother. We can't allow that to happen. Agatha sacrifices herself for Billy. But like the problem of Tommy still like is there because he's come back now as well. We saw Billy sort of jetting around in the atmosphere or whatever he was doing, brings him into like this boy who's drowning. So surely the problem of like this life for a life thing is still there. Rio would come back, no? Be like, exactly. Now there's 2 of them running around. And only one deal was made, and Agatha walked off. So she saved Billy. Who's there going to sacrifice himself for Tommy?
The new Vision, new White Vision. Well, I think he has a soul now. Something about a boat, an old boat with its parts. I can't remember. This is the best part of that B tier Marvel show that I did enjoy. I liked WandaVision. I feel very similarly today talking about this show as I do about WandaVision, where I was like, it was good. The potential was there. I like the concept, and just some of the execution leaves a lot to be desired in my opinion. So before we move into episode 9, which again will get us to be a little bit better, we have some more chatters here. Welcome, Sleek. What is up? And we'll get to Anthony here in a second. Good morning, Anthony. Sleek says it was the left-right game all along. All right. Please listen to left-right game. It's a better version of this story. All right. Deal. Anthony says, good Sunday morning, gentlemen and lady. Good morning, Anthony. I thoroughly enjoyed Agatha All Along. I still believe that Agatha Harkness is a spawn of something between her mother and Mephisto or some other demon. I could see that. Jay, do you have any thoughts on Anthony's comment there about Agatha and Mephisto?
I mean, it's possible. We I don't think we're ever told who Agatha's father is, and obviously we saw her mother, who was very angry with her throughout the series and really doesn't like her. Traditional mother-daughter relationship, as you can tell. But there's 2 missing fathers in the season. Her father is never mentioned, but nor is Nicholas's. His dad is never mentioned either. So it could be possible. It could be possible that Mephisto has something to do with it.
That's a good point too. Yeah, they specifically did not. There was no cult magic, right? No power of many here.
No power of many, acolyte. We were looking at you. She sat there with her baby and she specifically said it. This baby was made from scratch.
Oh, which is a good point to get us back into the episode 9 of it all, right? Because that's where it started. It starts with the birth and the sort of deal made between Rio and Agatha about Nikki. And then we start to get some of that backstory. One of my favorite parts of this episode was finding out that Nikki wrote the song and that it was something, all these fights they've had, like Coven 2, I'm thinking back to other moments where they would fight about it, knowing that like Agatha and her son wrote it all those years ago. Just kind of, I was like, I look forward on a rewatch. That'll be a moment where I giggle when they're sitting there arguing about it. I'm like, she fucking knows. It's like, I wrote the song. You tell me the lyrics, the song I wrote. But it tied everything together pretty well, in my opinion. But what did you think about all of that backstory that we got and what really felt like an epilogue instead of a series finale, in my opinion?
I feel like they really wanted to nail the point home that she's evil. This was like the long con. I feel like they really wanted to make sure that we as the audience were aware that this was completely fake, that she's just like a knob and made up all these lies. And I don't. I have a bit of trouble with the whole Nicholas Scratch character because in the comics he is like a villain in his own right, and he's got some brilliant storylines and some story arcs to come. So the fact that they cut his little life short in this, I felt the same as when I watched it when Kang died in Ant-Man 3. That it was the same feeling for me of like, but you had such a great villain there. Why have you done that? Why are we doing this to our villains? We should look after them.
I don't get it. Yeah, what? It's like they understand they have a post Thanos problem, but every single time they take a cool comic villain, they use him up in one shitty Thor movie, or they have Ant-Man beat him, even though he's supposed to be the next big bad for a decade. It's just like, this is just read the damn comics. Like, just pull a Zack Snyder at this point and just use the comic as a storyboard. You know what I mean? At least then it'll look cool. Probably have too much slow motion. But if you can't figure out how to tell a story, just tell the damn stories that have been successful. My God.
I would rather see the massive comic book like bubbles coming up with thwomp, thwang, twang, and all of those sounds. I'd rather see that than them not taking the story seriously. Okay.
It is brutal.
So let's recap. We saw Nicholas, we saw pregnant Agatha running through the forest. Badass woman gives birth while squatting on a tree. Like, fair enough, brilliant. But she looks over, she sees Rio, who we now know is Death. She's come for the boy. Agatha cries and pleads for more time. She gets more time. She doesn't know how much more time. This leads me back to this rule of magic. Like, why can Rio grant this boy more time, but she can't let Billy go?
Yeah, she just can't make up her mind. It's terrifying how whimsical Death is about all this. Like, dude, really? You're just like, yeah, well, we can make a deal, I guess.
So I'm bored today. Like, if you want some more time, that's fine. Like, it's fine. So then he gets 6 years, in which we see Agatha basically using him to get the power and killing off witches to gain their power, using him as like a little bit of bait. She's like a pageant mum at this point, like using her child to get fame and money.
Awful.
So that is the truth. That is like, so people were believing that she sold her own son out for the Darkhold for the book, but in actual fact she was using her boy to kill off witches, and like he was part of her little gang.
Is there a chance that they were trying to or maybe this is exactly what they were doing and I just missed the connections, but were they trying to infer that in order to keep Nikki alive, she just kept having to kill other witches? Because is there a thing where, like, once they stopped, is that when it was time to cash in? Like, was that supposed to be connected? Because then that might have made a little more sense to me, right? Like, okay, I have to do this to keep you alive. But for all the things that they hit with a hammer and said, hey, just so you know, this is what's going on, they didn't do that there. And so I was wondering, like, yeah, is she just evil for the sake of being evil? You've got this extra time with your son, and this is how you use it? That seems real fucked up. So I don't know. What do you think about, is that a possibility, or am I just reaching?
I think it could be like half a dozen of one of six of the other. I think it's one in the same. I think that like maybe she was, and then after a while she realized that she couldn't use her power to save her son, because we had that scene where she's like, I can't save you, I can't stop her from coming back. So maybe that's her realization that, like, no matter how much power you get, you can't stop death, which is like, whoa, it's a big moral of the story, like, well done, Marvel, for teaching us that one. But at the same time, because there's that, we can go back to killing more people tomorrow, and they stopped and they didn't kill anyone for that day. So is it? But then you've got to go down this like moral like crusade of, but how many years is a life worth?
Yeah.
And how many people have you got to kill in order to save one person? And then you start going on this like spiral of psychological like theories, and Marvel's just like, no, she just kills people because she likes it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It just nepotism in its finest form. That's what it all is. They didn't want to address that even amongst the witches and the elder gods, there's still everybody's always playing favorites. So you know what? Yeah, it's fine. I'll just kill all these powerful ladies through magic Kamehameha waves, by the way, which I was afraid of, and you correctly called me out and said, Kevin, I don't
Green
know why
and
you would
purple
bother.
tennis match, yes.
Yeah.
With the grunting.
Yeah, there's the whole episode is just 3 minutes of Katherine Heigl just not, but it's what I said. It's Agatha grunting. I said the wrong last name. It's her just grunting for 3.5 minutes to start. Just kidding.
But they did keep it short, and we didn't see a lot of it because obviously we were with Billy in the greenhouse when he got blasted through the roof. So we didn't see a lot of it. They did keep it really short. And then even Agatha says, listen, we can't fight death because you can't conquer death. Like, death is going to happen. So this is like a waste of time. So, at least they sort of like understood that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to throw some comments out here. I know Anthony has been feeding us some stuff. So let's see. He says, Agatha's existence as a ghost is going to make her a very interesting ally in the magic community. She has access to knowledge, powers, and places that living characters don't. And that Nikki's a poet. Yes, 100%. And let's see. Adding to that, the winding road became the witch's road. Maybe Nicholas Scratch will, like Billy, inhabit another person to make Nick an anti-hero. Who's the father? Maybe he truly is an agent of Mephisto. So I'll pause. He gave us a lot there. Any thoughts on that, Headbug? I see you nodding your head at the end there.
Yeah, so the winding road, I wanted to quickly point out as well, if we go back to episode 1 where Agatha is still the detective, we have a little theme song that's like to her detective show, and the lyrics are the winding road. So already we had that put in our heads from the very beginning of episode 1. Nicholas Scratch, now in the comics he does come back. He is like regenerated, and so that might be interesting to see. But again, with this series, they've given us several ways for a character to now beat death and to be still in the series but not actually be alive in the series. So we've got regeneration. Billy showed us that characters can now jump bodies and just steal lives, and that's okay. And now we've got Agatha as a ghost,
which is so great, right? It's finally time to talk about Agatha as a ghost, because it's hard to get away from. We both kind of hoping against hope, I think, at the end of episode 8. We're like, maybe it's just a throwaway, maybe it's just a joke, maybe it's a tease, not going in. We don't know. We might not be going in that direction. Maybe that was just her cackling on her way to the afterlife. Maybe. oh no. But it ended up being Ghost Agatha all along. And I mean, just generally speaking, you kind of touched on some of this already. There's a lot of ways for characters to come back now, so long as they aren't traded for an Infinity Stone, which are also now kind of useless, but neither here nor there. So at least, we got rid of Black Widow, so that was great. The one permanent death on the card so far. But it just do you like having her as a ghost? For me personally, it really kind of lessens it. Now it just throws too much doubt into any time a character dies. Again, already Sleek has made some jokes in the comment like, what, someone comes back from the dead in a Marvel movie? Gasp. Like, again, I get it. If we don't see the body, I'm assuming they're not dead anyway, but now we can actually watch a body decompose in live right before our eyes, and then they'll just be a spirit.
Turn into pretty flowers and then still come back.
And then it'll just come back like Ghost Obi-Wan just to piss you off. So Clearly, I've kind of shaded some of my opinions on this, but what are yours when it comes to Ghost Agatha? How do you feel about it?
Lazy. Just lazy, isn't it? It's lazy story writing. It's like that. It was all a dream sequence. No, stop doing it. You're not doing it well. It's infuriating. Again, it is a link to the comics because she does die in the comics and gets regenerated. So I guess I guess in a way they're staying true to the comics. The whole idea of ghosts existing really infuriates me because again, it's not something that we've seen before except for her mother. Her mother was a ghost and then possessed her. So now we're going to assume that Agatha has the same powers and can also possess people once she's learned how to like ghost properly. Maybe I don't know. We see that she can't actually. She tries to slap Billy at one point and it doesn't work, but she manages to get her brooch from him.
Which
So
I can't wait for that crossover for them to bring Patrick Swayze back from the dead and do Ghost 2. It was Agatha all along.
it was
Patrick
Agatha
Swayze
all
Ghost.
along.
Yeah. Yeah, they take Demi Moore, who's alive still, by the way. They take her out and they add Agatha in, and then they de-age
Making clay
Patrick
pot
Swayze.
cauldrons so that she can do
Yeah.
potions and shit in it later on.
Exactly. See,
Yeah.
we're on to something here.
I don't think
2027
she would
release date.
appreciate it. She doesn't seem to be. Yeah, she doesn't seem to be the type that goes after men, to be honest. So maybe have Aubrey Plaza in there. That would be better.
There you go. Yeah, no one puts Agatha in a corner. I love keep the Patrick Swayze jokes coming. I love that. John says, Feige says X-Men are the key to the MCU post Secret Wars. Well, that could be good. There's a lot there, and I would almost say it'd be hard to screw it up. But there's almost so many options that it'd be very easy for them to screw up the X-Men. If I'm being honest with you, they've screwed up like the same story twice. Like they can't get Dark Phoenix right to save their life, but they won't stop trying to do it. Fucking stop.
If we keep beating this dead horse, it will work eventually. Of course it will.
If I hit this square peg long enough, eventually those corners will round off. You know,
exactly.
It just might take a few days.
Jeez.
So there we have. Is there anything else about episode 9 that we haven't quite covered? Well, I guess, did you like the idea of these two teaming up at the end? I guess that's probably maybe the last big thing that I don't know how I feel about it. So are you looking forward to these two characters having more adventures together, or is that a bad choice?
I like their chemistry, but I have to, and this is something that I had to remind myself while watching the series. Billy is a 16-year-old boy. There's going to be a lot of clashing between a 16-year-old boy and like however many century-old woman Agatha is. There's going to be a generational issue, I feel like, between the two of them, which could be interesting to explore. But at the same time, like, what's she going to do? What's she going to do now? What's her like purpose for being in the MCU now? What's her future? We get it. Billy's going to go and find Tommy, possibly like discover his mother or his parentage, and then he then goes on to form the Young Avengers. Fine, he's got a purpose. Agatha is now a ghost. So I feel like her only potential is to try and get a body. Like that seems like the most logical way for her to go is to try and possess a body.
Yeah, that's fair. And she knows someone who can do it. So naturally, she's going to hang around that guy, which could open the door back up to her being a villainous piece of crap.
It does link to her being self-serving, which is like her character. She is very self-serving as a character. So that could be interesting. So are we going to have more Billy versus Agatha in the future? Like, she's trying to use him like she used Nicholas to try and like gain all this power and then swoop on in. I don't know.
And then she'll change her mind at the last minute and say, no,
Yeah.
actually, I'll
Oh
be a
no,
good person
actually,
again.
yeah. I think Nikki is going to become a bigger player. Honestly, I think a version of Nicholas Scratch is going to be in the future, and she's gonna have to do the mummy son reuniting. I didn't mean to make you bad, and he's like, but you did anyway, and we're gonna have a dramatic thing, and might be great. So there's that to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely excited about about that. We'll see what they do with Agatha. I think generally speaking, um unless they go that route where she's still going to be just kind of out for herself and could potentially be just one of those characters that it's kind of like what's his name, Hondo, that we talk about on Wednesdays in Star Wars. You have one of those pirate-esque characters that can help get information. And Anthony did mention there will be aspects of the Marvel universe that as a ghost you would expect she could get to. Maybe it'll be a way to introduce Mephisto that we've all been speculating about for years now at this point, that character would make its way here. But who knows? Like you mentioned before, they keep bringing out these really interesting characters and really doing nothing with them or killing them off super early. So, maybe don't rush to get to Mephisto. Why don't you take some time with it until you can figure out what you're going to do? But yeah, the whole comeback of it. There was one more thought about episode 9 that I was going to ask you, and now it has escaped me. With this whole thing, so maybe we can just start to review the series as a whole, I think, and at some point, hopefully, it comes back to me. But generally speaking, episode 8, episode 9 kind of took us down from it, but overall, now that you've sat with all of it, and before we address any more of the plot holes and stuff that we found and get to our predictions, does it still sit well with you? Does it still rank highly among at least the other Marvel TV shows for you, or did this really bring it back down into the mud with things like Secret Invasion? And
I mean, it was all right. That's basically what. I mean, if I have to like give it on like a 1 to 10 scale, I would say the whole series for me is like a 6 or a 7. It's like, it's a fun, quirky thing to watch, specifically over the Halloween season. If you're really into witches and things like that, it's a fun thing to watch. Don't try and understand the rules, because you won't. They'll change them on you, like the rules of magic and how they work and what they stand for and what the purpose of it is. They're like, it changes, but it's okay, because as we learned from Lilia, it's all fate. So it explains it all. It's all meant to happen as it is, because Lilia has seen it all happen as it is. So therefore, you can't question it.
That reminded me of one of the dumbest moments in the show. We talked about this before, how much I hate when it's spelled out very stupidly. The moment finally comes where Agatha has to apply that wisdom Lilia gave her in her final moments. When she calls you a coward, hit the deck. And they take the time. Rio calls her a coward from the roof, and it takes the 5 seconds for her to go, when she calls you a coward, hit the deck. And then
That's
it's
what
just
happens
like,
in real life. Do you not
just
do that
hit
in
the
real
deck.
life?
Yeah, right. What was it? Hang on. Yeah, I get into my chrono bowl like I'm Barry in the Flash, and I just say, wait, he's Batman? And then and I think about stuff for a while, and then I get it going. I thought that was just let it happen. And then if I am a viewer who remembers that, oh great, isn't that a delicious little treat for me? But when you spell it out for me, it's like giving me week-old yogurt or something. You've taken something that could have been good and you've completely ruined it, just like I did with that bad simile there. But
I think the writers of this show, they're like, they forget that for the people watching it have brain cells and can put 2 and 2 together quite easily. And that's why we know all the plot holes. So the fact that they have to like spell it out like that, it's infuriating. It's a waste of precious seconds when we could have had the purple and green light show instead. Exactly. I'd rather have watched 3 more seconds of that than have the shoddy dialogue. I'm not gonna lie. Like, oh, we can't fight death, it's futile. Well, no shit, it's death.
Yeah.
Like that's a given. Yeah, it's one of my pet peeves. Don't explain it to me. Like, I can work it out. I'm a big girl. I can work it out, you know.
Just let me. It's like you ruin when you do stuff like that, in my opinion, just because you have appreciation for your story and you want to give people that have been paying attention that aha moment, but also just to think about it economically and like trying to keep your job, it's rewatchability. But when you immediately explain it right after, you've kind of taken away my incentive to go back and say, wait, didn't I see that in episode 4? Let me go back and watch it. It's just kind of like you're hurting yourself by dumbing it down. I don't know. There are several moments in there where they do that just really took it away from me.
And then there are other moments where they do it so brilliantly, like when we realize that Billy had made the road and he turns around and he's like, wait a minute. And he's like looking at all the stuff in his room and he's realizing this is all the things that he's seen reflected on the road, like even down to like a picture that was like the scenery for the house that was in his room, all the shoes that were there, and the cast of the Wizard of Oz figurines and things like that. And we got this blinding moment with him where we're like, he made the road. It was all in his head. And that was a really well done moment. We didn't need then Agatha turning around and going, yeah, I made it up. It was me. Sorry. Yeah. Like,
just all his fault.
Like, real good moment. And then just Agatha came and just sort of pissed on it. And it was like, okay, thanks for that. You, as a viewer, not good at all.
Are you keeping up, dummies? So yeah, that's kind of how it felt at some times, where it was just like, oh yeah, hey, you got some drool there, partner.
It felt like the writers were like, you know how Agatha's always like, she in some of them, which she's always really nasty and she's trying to get them to zap her and all of that stuff. That's what it felt like the whole series was doing. The writers were going, morons, you don't know what's going on. No, nor do we. Never mind.
It is rough. So Sleek has a question that we didn't come up with. This is good. Thank you, Sleek. Do you think Agatha killed, I'm assuming when he says the rock star, Lorna Wu, right? Because we find out that Jen Kale was bound by Agatha, who was just doing spells for money, which is a pretty funny, honestly, bit of her backstory. So is it possible that because so many, like, they really hit it was Agatha all along on the nose, right? Like, going back, she created the Witch's Road. She's been, she jokes about how all of these characters are based off of her. She's fucking Jolene. She's the one who stole Dolly Parton's woman. Like, man, like, everything goes back to Agatha. So it stands to reason, right, that whoever cursed Lorna Wu, maybe because they took her creative property and it went and made all this money off of it. Like, is it maybe Agatha did get pissed that Lorna Wu took the ballad that her and her son made so that she could murder people and then used it to make people happy instead, or you know, probably just the money. But so maybe she just took out Lorna Wu and cursed her whole family because of copyright claims, which sounds like Agatha works for Warner Brothers, if that was the case.
Yes, I think she's one of the EPs, Warner Brothers, and she's very high up. She pulls all the strings. It's an interesting question because they describe it as a generational curse, and this is why the rules of magic, again, I'm really hazy with, because we don't know how much on that road was just created by Billy and how much the other people had effect on it. So we don't know if they actually brought in their real life problems, I suppose, their real life demons in the case of Alice, into this atmosphere, into this environment, or if Billy has created it. So she talks about the generational curse. She talks about how she's got bad luck and how her mother, and we see it in the first trial where she comes face to face with her mum, and her mum says, I felt your grandmother die today. I felt it, even though I'm millions of miles away or whatever. She talks about this generational curse. But we also know that Alice spoke to Billy about the generational curse when she showed off her tattoo. So in my head, I'm like, is this demon really real? Or has Billy taken what he's heard from Alice and then created this demon to then go after her? Do you see? This is why, if you're going to have magic and you're going to have rules of like time travel and you're going to and manipulation of the environment, you need to have solid rules where you know what's going on. And as an audience member, you can sort of distinguish from the two.
Yeah, this would be a great time to for the writers over there at Marvel Television. There is a great channel run by the one and only Brandon Sanderson, where he basically gives you his college lectures for free. So fantasy world building, establishing rules that you will then stick to, like that's the guy to go to for that, I would think. So it's right there. It's free. Maybe just call the man. He probably didn't have time to write any of these stories, but you know, just like I said, it's free. It's free on YouTube. Go check it out. Not a sponsor, but yeah, I agree that there's so many things in with the idea that Billy created this whole thing. That really goes back to I have a note here with the final episode being Spirit as my guide, and I think you mentioned this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible that ghost Agatha is not actually even real either? Like this is just another manifestation of Billy's, so he can compartmentalize this whole thing. He's already talked about how he won't be able to deal with I'll never get used to this feeling, and has a really strong desire to not kill. So is, for lack of a better term, is Agatha his Tyler Durden right now? Is this just a mental manifestation? Like his powers kind of fucking with him? Because his powers kind of control themselves, right? He envisioned this whole the road, but clearly if he wanted, he would not have wanted Sharon to die. Certainly not. Well, Lorna was killed by, or not, or Alice was killed by Agatha still, but you know, he wouldn't have wanted Lilia to die. You know, so clearly the perils and everything that was set up, that was a little bit of his spell or whatever, manifesting what was needed. But I don't know. So it's sort of, how much of this does he actually have control over, and how much of it is subconscious? And so therefore, is that really Agatha there whatsoever? So, I mean, I know that goes back to your what the rules are. I think that's kind of one of the biggest issues I had, was like, if Billy made this whole thing, how did he know what Jen Kale's trial would need to be? He didn't know her personally. He met Lilia once, forgot about it. Met Alice once, forgot about it. But literally just watched Jen on YouTube. How did he know what her trial was going to need to be? So it felt like some of it had to be the subconscious adapting and to the information that was there. So I don't know how in control he is of this whole thing. And I, for one, would love, since we could never have a good Fight Club sequel, let's just spin it off. You know, let's just do Fight Club Marvel.
With 16-year-old boys and 7 trees old witches. That sounds like a good idea. Yeah.
Yes. Familiar by thy side or something.
Yeah. So yeah, at the start he creates the road because, well, I suppose it was like a fear mechanism, wasn't it? Because the Salem 7 were coming after him. So I feel like that was the trigger for the road. And then yeah, he didn't realize that he had created this road. It was quite clear. We see the montage of Agatha giving him these little like sly comments here and there to say that she knows, or like she says, you have the same tell as your mother, because he gets angry and blasts people away. And it's like, okay, so we know that he is Wanda's son. He is the argument for nature versus nurture. Clearly we know he is definitely her son. And then he discovers that he was the one that did it. He thinks about it, and then out of pure shock that he's killed people, he imagines Agatha being there, and she's there as a ghost.
Yeah, probably. I mean, hopefully that's not it, but it's possible. Yeah. Yeah, come to think of it, because he does have his actual parents. You know, he even says himself, Wanda's not my mother. He's taken the Kaplans as his parents, so maybe he wouldn't need an emotional support ghost. So she's probably actually there. Which I don't know if I like that. I don't know if that's better or worse. It's just
Can you
I
get
don't.
those registered? Like, how do you go about registering your emotional support ghost?
Yeah, I don't know. You got to get that with the state. Probably got to get it ID'd in case it is bothering other people in the middle of the night. Yeah,
Again,
that's
he's 16 years old, so to me, it seems like a very immature thing to have an imaginary friend. So it sort of fits in that like circumstance. But we also know ghosts exist because when they were on the road and her mother appeared, Noah went, "Hang on a minute, ghosts aren't real. But why is this woman here?" So we also know it's proven that ghosts can come out of Ouija boards and like exist in our plane. I like, if you like, but
knew it. I always knew
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, it's lazy, isn't it? They obviously want to have more Agatha, so they're like, just bring her back. She has to die, but just like bring her back.
Yeah, we're gonna completely butcher her sacrifice, and then we'll kill her off so she can finally be the comic accurate. Because that's what's really important is that she be a lady with white hair, because that's what it looks like in the comics. She's an old lady, so we got to make her look like an old lady ghost. We've got we can't go further like this. That would be too creative. That we can't put our own spin on it. Although, for what it's worth, they did that. There'd be people killing them for doing that. So I guess in when it comes to comic books or stories that people already care about, you kind of can't win when you're doing an adaptation. Someone is going to hate it because you've just ruined one of their favorite stories. I'm sure even someone out there had their favorite Agatha Harkness storyline that they're like, "What are you doing? You finally," just how I felt with Kang. I'm like, I finally get one of my favorite characters of all time, and you just completely shit the bed with it. And then it turns out he's also an abhorrent human, and we gotta just like kick him out to the curb. It was the worst. Why? God damn it! Should have been you, Thanos. I didn't need all that. God damn it! Should have been Loki.
Yes.
He's the real Billy Maximoff, not the WandaVision Billy Maximoff that his mom escaped to. Okay. Let's see. And then so we've given our ratings of the season. Well, actually, you have. I haven't. I would agree. It's probably right around that 6 to 7 range. There was a time, first 5 or 6 episodes, I probably was hovering around an 8. Feeling really good about it, and then it just kind of fell off a cliff there for me. But there were just so many little things, especially when they set things up well. We've talked about that with Lilia before and all of this stuff. And some of this stuff, like you mentioned, even some of the hints of Agatha knowing what Billy was up to, like some of that stuff was fulfilling. You're like, all right, cool. This is good. I like this. But there was too much that just was so inconsistent and didn't make sense with whether it be the main character and her motivations and how it just flip-flops at whatever the scene needs. Same with Rio, the main antagonist, not being consistent about what she actually needs and why she's here. So it really just kind of fell apart at the end, and not in the usual Marvel way, like not, or maybe it was. Because they do say, let's go find your brother. So often I find that these shows suck because they're more worried about setting up 3 more spin-offs with their final episode than they are with like telling you a good story and being done with it. So do you think that did that have an impact on why it was bad? That they needed to set this up, that they wanted those two to be part of a team. I can't understand why it got so off track on those last couple of episodes. Do you have any thought, or is it just lazy writing, as you said?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's they had a glimpse of an idea, and then they thought, how are we going to get from point A to point B? And then they sort of just scribbled in the middle of it, and then that'll do. That's fine. We've got them to from point A to point B, and don't look at the middle too closely. That I feel like if they're going down this sort of like side road of Billy needing a mentor, of Billy not knowing how to control his powers, of needing to be taught how to like use his magic. We even see it on the road where he's like, I don't need you anymore. He tries to do his zappy thing and it doesn't work. So he's obviously not quite in control of his abilities yet. He doesn't know the extent of what he can actually do with them. So I feel like they thought, well, Agatha was in the first series. She's the perfect person to teach him, and we'll have some like laughs on the way because of the chemistry between them and how she's evil and all of that sort of stuff. It also brings drama to it where she could say like she is the villain and she tries to use him to gain some sort of power back. They've set that up very well with the whole ghost thing. But apart from that, it is purely we're going to go into season 2 to try and find Tommy and start the Young Avengers. That's basically where they're going with this. Who can we have that's going to be there as the comic relief while Billy learns how to do magic? It's Hagrid and Harry Potter, isn't it? That's what they've done. It's Hagrid and Harry Potter put together.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there. She is going to be probably a comic relief side character, which I mean, she'll do that so well. I mean, shit, Step Brothers, she's goddamn hilarious. One of the best small. She had hardly anything to do. She has maybe 4 lines, but steals every scene that she's in. She's fucking hilarious in that movie. So I don't doubt that if they give her a few things that she'll do well with it. But it's just, I felt like it was a bit of a disservice to this story and if you're going to do the death fake out, I've complained about this before. So frequent viewers, my apologies. There's no point to do it if you're not going to let it sit for a while. Let it marinate. This is the Chewbacca scene all over again. You don't fake kill a character and bring him back 5 minutes later. What was the point? You're just like putting you're Michael Baying the shit at that point. Let's just put explosions on the screen. There'll be a moment. People get hyped for that moment. Like, no, build to something. Like, if you're gonna have her make a sacrifice, at least let us believe that she made a sacrifice until you start the next season. I might have had some critique. I still will have some thoughts about it, but it's just so flat to kill her at the end of it, like 60% into an episode, and then at the end of it, like before the credits roll, she's already back. Are you kidding me? Like, well, it's not like this an hour and a half Game of Thrones. It's like a 28-minute episode. What are we doing here?
They got us to the top of the roller coaster and then just like rolled us back. That's how I feel.
Sorry, we got to restart. Sorry, Rob.
Yeah. No, wait a minute. Wait. Oh, not all the seatbelts are on. You're not ready. Okay. We'll just roll you back and then we'll go off the precipice. Like, that's exactly how I feel. They could have stopped it at episode 8. They could have ended it with that. The cackle, he turns around, cliffhanger. Now we've got to wait for season 2 to see who the cackle was, if it was really her and all of that. They missed an opportunity with it. And to build up that anticipation for the second season, now I feel like it's like, oh, okay, now we're just going to go on another journey. They went on a journey on the road, and now they're going on another journey. And it's like, okay, what are we going to discover? Circle. Yeah, the road is a circle. We're just going to keep going round and round and round and hope that some other characters join us that make it better. That's what it is now.
Next season, they'll have the Tin Man, though, so that'll be cool.
The Cowardly Lion just jumps out from it. Yeah.
So that'll be Hulk.
We're off to find the Wizard of Oz, and Dorothy's going to be there. No, Toto's gone. Like,
yeah, it's so it did leave a lot to be desired, in my opinion. It was right there. It could have been so good. Were there some other thoughts that you have on the series as a whole or in general? Are there any other plot holes or issues that we want to talk about that we haven't hit yet?
I suppose my only issue, again, the rules. We'll talk about the rules a lot. But when you've gone through the trial, and it's a moot point. I'm going to start it off there with this is a moot question with a moot point because it's all in Billy's head, so it doesn't matter anyway. But when they were on the road and they're doing the whole intention thing, you find your intention at the end of the road. Alice goes with the intention to find out what happens to her mother and break the family curse. She does that in episode 3 or 4. why didn't she poof off the road when her intention was complete? And then the same with Lilia in the later episode, in episode 7, when her intention is fulfilled. She wanted to like know why she's got this gift and like have control of this gift, where she keeps popping in and out of time and doing her wonderful like weird reactions like, oh no, stop it, stop it, stop it. When her intention was fulfilled and she was like, I know why I'm here, it's to help these people, why didn't then she poof off the road as well? Because Billy and Jen, they poof off the road before the trial is finished, but no one else poofed when their intention. It makes no sense. Sorry, that was
no 100%. That needed. I think you needed to bring that up. And it absolutely. I agree with you. It makes no sense because it wasn't until that final trial that was a thing. I mean, you could argue that Lilia, in a way, because she fell to her death. I mean, she had her exit right away. But with the Alice thing, there was plenty of time, right, between them completing that trial, and then they had like a little argument on the outside of everything, and then you would think that the road would have just poofed her out before Agatha could consume all of her power, because that's what they did for everybody else, or at least the last two. So yeah, I agree with that. It doesn't the more that got explained, the less it started to make sense, which sometimes is why horror movies are way better until people decide they want to tell you about the birth of the serial killer or the murder. Like, oh, we got to explain this character now. No, you fucking don't. You're going to ruin it if you do. Less is more, pal. But that's what happened here, in my opinion, that they just, the more that they revealed, it went from being a cool reveal to, oh shit, and this doesn't make any sense now.
Yeah. They tried to like add, it's like they tried to add more decorations to the Christmas tree, and then the Christmas tree fell over. Like that, it just stop while you're ahead. It was good, and then you ruined it by going, now we need more. No, you don't need more. Just make it make sense.
One of the few shows I've ever said, well, maybe not few, but because Star Wars sucks, they'll give you 6 episodes and 2 of them will still be filler somehow. But this, again, it's one of those where 9 episodes. Why? Was it some witchcraft number? Because this could have been 8. You really didn't need a whole bonus epilogue episode. You could have just done episode 8 much better and maybe given us some of what was given to us all at once in episode 9. You could have parsed that out throughout the story instead. And then you have 1 or 2 scenes here in that final episode that finally solidify what we thought we knew about her and Nikki. You didn't need to wait for it all after the main story has been told and then say, oh, by the way, here's the prologue as an epilogue. Enjoy it. Interesting decision. I didn't like it, and I felt like, yeah, again, less is more. They could have trimmed this one down by about a whole episode, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
Suddenly, Rio, the one who wants to stab her, is in the coven. He says nothing makes sense if you pull too many strings. Yeah, she made a deal with Rio to get her. Yeah, and then Rio just kind of decides that deal didn't matter anymore. At a certain point. Well, Rio
goes, I'm going to make a deal, but next week I'm going to change my mind, and that deal's not going to hold up anymore. You won't know the rules of the deal because I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to win. That's it. That's Rio.
And what a hypocrite too. Like you pointed this out earlier with the giving the extra time, as it's like it's rules for thee and rules for me. All right. This guy's an abomination. He's supposed to be dead and he's still walking around. Oh, what's that? What's that? Sounds like Nicholas who? Huh? So it's okay when your girlfriend does it. But with this kid, it's a problem until you decide it's not a problem. And you really do just want to kill your ex-girlfriend. What the hell was going on with Rio and or Agatha with their motivation?
Is it souls? Is it bodies? Like what is this deal? Is it a soul for a soul, or is it a body for a body? I don't understand. Why does it keep changing?
And it's just like, yeah, what? It's incredibly frustrating. Billy stole a corpse. Nicholas was in his own body. Okay, fair. But yeah, You broke the rules. Now I don't actually care anymore. So I don't know. The whole thing was very inconsistent at the end. I think they should have thought about that a little bit more. I'm looking through my notes here. I don't think I have anything else. I already complained about the Kamehameha, but I'm just saying it again because I wanted to. But was there anything else that you had for the for either the episodes or for the series as a whole?
Um, no, I think the only thing was the Salem 7. I wasn't very impressed with the Salem 7. I was impressed when they was doing all their morphing stuff. I thought that was really cool, and like how they were doing all the animals and like all of that stuff. Thought that was really cool. I thought, yeah, okay, to add a bit of extra drama and a bit of extra like space to it, fine. But at the end, how they were all taken out,
Yeah,
just they could have done so much more. They
fell
could have done
flat.
so much more with that.
It's the same problem we were complaining about earlier, that they don't know how to use villains. And to cross over to the other side of Disney again here for a second, it's the Knights of Ren all over again, where they had this really cool concept, people were into it, they just didn't have any fucking idea what to do with it. And so you just have this, and so it feels flat. The Knights of Ren could have been this whole badass crew that you had, and then instead they're just there, kind of, and then Kylo can beat him up all by himself at like half strength. So it's just like, you had this cool idea, you ruin it. And same thing with this. I thought the Salem 7 was a really cool concept. I also enjoyed the way it seemed like they had been in their animal form for so long that even when they were humans, they moved in, the snake person would move their neck like that. And that was really creepy. And for them all to go down just like that, and to remove really what at that point had been a main threat. And it could have been okay if they had handled Rio properly and Rio felt like a true new main antagonist, a main threat. But so to me, it was a combination of those two things failing, that where it's like, oh, you had these good villains, you do nothing with them. Very anticlimactic the way they go down. I thought it would have been cool if, for instance, the bird, the one that can turn into a bird, survives, maybe, because I don't know, it can fucking fly.
I was just about to say, like, just poof into your bird form and fly out a window. You don't have to fly into the spikes because you've got wings.
That would have been cool, but no, yeah, we'll just say, oh, yep, they're all done now. You never get to see anything really of them other than them slithering and slinking around. You don't get to see them do anything cool. So it felt like another wasted opportunity to establish cool characters, and then just knock them all out too. Who needs the Salem 7? That's, again, you have a villain problem and you keep just like discarding villains without getting any use out of them. What are you doing? So I agree that
they take the comics and they go down, they use it like a phone book where they just pick out names to use, and then that's it. That's what they run with. That's how I feel that this whole series is going. That, and just keep bringing back the favorites. Bring back Robert Downey Jr. He will save everything, hopefully.
Again, yeah, I can't wait to see how that goes. I have not much faith, to be honest with you. And although I liked this show for a lot of its run, it doesn't do much to instill more faith into me, because I'm like, you almost had one. You guys almost had one.
They get a participation trophy for this series, and that's it.
Yeah, it's like doing this group project and like putting 6 weeks into it and just deciding you're not going to show up for the last 2 rounds, and you get like a C instead of an A. All you had to do was show up, but you couldn't be bothered. Not that I would know what that was like. Never did that one myself. So yeah, they have there was a lot to be desired. Okay, is it theory time? Should we get into predictions and theories? Is that about the point of the show we're at, you think?
I think so.
Well, I'll let you fire away with that. I think you have some thoughts on some predictions? I'd love to hear them.
I do, because again, now with Agatha, we've got more ways to bring back characters and to make sure that even if they're dead, they're still alive and we can still use them. And get money out of them where we need to. We obviously have Dr. Doom coming up, and he's played by Robert Downey Jr. And I think it's going to be central around him. I believe that they're going to bring Wanda back. I'm going to say it. I think they're going to bring Wanda back. They're going to attempt to bring her back, to use her powers in some way. Either Doctor Doom is going to do it, which he does in the comic books. He tries to take over. And in fact, Marvel posted about this on their Twitter a few days ago, or the beginning of October, where they did the whole comic book history of Wanda and mentioned Doctor Doom taking control of Wanda's powers, or trying to manipulate Wanda into giving him her powers. So that could be interesting.
Oh, okay.
And then her boys save her from that. So again, with the introduction of Billy and Tommy and how they're going to come together, I feel like that could be a possible storyline. We've also got Kang the Conqueror, who has been... I know. I know. But have we talked about his Council of Variants and how there are multiple Kangs and in multiple forms? Again, because they like to keep Marvel specifically in the comic books do like to bring in different variations. We've got different universes of different characters. We know this. We've seen it in Spider-Man. But Iron Lad, who is a member of the Young Avengers, is actually a young Kang.
Mm-hmm.
He's an adolescent version of Kang the Conqueror. And Billy is the one that turns around to Iron Lad in the comic books and says, well, actually, your destination to becoming Kang, you're following the path. You can't stop it. It's going to happen. So that could be an interesting turnabout.
I love that storyline. Plus the only myself to conquer graphic. I love Kang could have been so cool. Damn it. Anyway,
I know. But with his council of variants, he might make a comeback. I hope he makes a comeback. I hope that they bring him back just so that he can have his big moment. The same with, well, do I hope they bring back Wanda? Not really. I think that her story's done. You could stop bringing back Wanda just to like make everything different.
Yeah, and have her forget the lessons that she learned, and so she can relearn them. Stupid.
And I think it's the same with Agatha. She keeps learning these lessons and then forgetting them. Like, can we have the lessons stick for more than 5 minutes? That would be great.
That would be phenomenal. And you know what else would be phenomenal when you talk about recasting Kang? I mentioned this in the pre-show, but I want to tell the audience here, Marvel has the opportunity to do something that would be so hilarious right now. And they should recast Kang the Conqueror with Terrence Howard, all right? And have him come back. And then we can have Dr. Doom going up against Kang. And it'll be just like Iron Man 1 is back together. Come on, man. Do it. You can do it. His rate's got to be really cheap right now.
I think that would be a good one. That would be good. I think Marvel fans would appreciate that one.
yeah, they'd love that.
Just for the member berries.
Oh my goodness. So there's my theory. What about, I think people have speculated that Vision Quest, or maybe this is official, that's sort of part 3 in the WandaVision trilogy. So do you think we're going to see Billy and Agatha in that Vision story, or did this do enough to get a second season is there going to be more Agatha All Along, or are we just going to get Vision and that's it? Do you have any thoughts on how that might play out?
Well, I did a bit of like snooping on the internet to see if a season 2 had already been like released, or like what's the word? You know, if they're going to do
greenlit
one
or something.
Yeah, if it's been greenlit yet, and there's no news on it, but they seem to think there is more story to tell when it comes to Agatha. Specifically, Catherine has said in interviews that she thinks there's more. The producers have also said, and a couple of the showrunners, they think that there is more story to be told, specifically between her and Rio. So they seem to want to explore that a little bit deeper.
You should put that one on HBO, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't doubt that many a man wants to see Aubrey Plaza. Yes.
What up, Kang? You just got here at the perfect time.
Oh, hi, Kang. But I don't know. With Vision, I feel like they've got to explain what happens to him and if he's still alive and what he's doing. I think that'll be a standalone. And then I feel like they'll sort of bring them all together in some way, maybe with a different series or at the end, like if they do 2 seasons of the Vision television series and then bring them together at the end, maybe try and link them that way. But I don't know, they might go down the 1 season route with all of them and then just because that's what they did with Wandavision as well, wasn't it? They only had 1 season, so
yeah, they may do that. And Sleek, I'm with you on this one. We can workshop some names on that. Part 4, he says will be What's Up with Wiccan, or Walk In with Wiccan, something. We got something there. We'll find it. We got a few years. Wiccavision. There you go. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I think it'll be interesting to see. I am not hyped for a Vision series. But again, my favorite part of that whole very boring finale of WandaVision was just 2 visions talking to each other. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll be wrong here. It could be cool. I don't know. It's got a very Philip K. Dick, kind of plot out there where you've got this sentient being that is now a copy of an android and kind of dealing with what is humanity, what it is that makes us human or whatever. Does he have a soul? There's a lot of cool stuff that a Vision Quest series could look into, but it's probably going to end up just being like lowest common denominator, simple stuff. Vision's going to fight Vision at the end because we haven't seen that 20 fucking times at this point. Marvel. He's going to fight an evil version of himself. Like, oh, great. Thank you. All right, great. And we need more of that. Jesus.
They don't even need to reshoot it anymore, do they? Can't they just like cut out what they've already got and put it on a different green screen?
Yeah, they'll just take that and just like run an AI through it. Just be like, can you just make these scenes a little different? It'll be great.
The lights are blue and red instead of green and purple this time.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
that'll do it. That'll mix it up. Vision the Bicentennial Man. That is great. All right. Well, I mean, I think that has all of my notes are wrapped up. Jay, do you have any other thoughts about the series as a whole or just anything Marvel in general before we head out of here?
I would say if you haven't watched it, give it a go, but don't take it too seriously. Don't think of it as like the best media in the world because it really isn't, but it is fun and it's a silly little watch really. But we'll hope that Marvel does something better in the future. Like, can we all cross our fingers for that one?
Come on, man, you can do it. I'm with you there. Let's not ruin it for James, gang. All right. I think he's only 3 episodes in, still really liking it. We'll see where he winds up at the end. But I'm with you there. There are worse Marvel shows by far. This actually has me wanting to set out and do like a Marvel television tier list where I can kind of establish what I'd like and what I don't. But as of right now, it'd probably be above the middle, right? Like there's more that I liked about it than I disliked about it. And I cannot say that about even half the Marvel shows that have been put out. So overall, I agree with you. I think if you need something to watch and you're willing to, if you're one of those turn your brain off and enjoy it, folks, you will have no problem enjoying the hell out of this show and just go along for the ride. But yeah, it may not end on a high note for you. Ruin it for James. Got it. Yeah, see, you guys better use the spoiler tag in the Discord. All right. Don't get me in trouble. But so there you have it, folks. That is Agatha All Along season 1, maybe just the whole series reviewed. Sure, we will reconvene at another time to talk about some other stuff. Jade, you are welcome back anytime. Thank you so much for coming on to talk with me about this. This was a lot better having you here than just me rambling all this stuff off for an hour 20 by myself. So thank you so much for being here. Anything you've got coming up, or anything on your channel, or anything you want the folks at home to know about before we head out?
I should really spend more focus on my channel. Actually, I should probably spend more time. It's a bit dead at the moment. I will have stuff coming soon. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not promising anything. I'm not promising a time, but you will see me around. I'm normally hanging around somewhere in the chat or in the server or on Twitter. So you will be able to find me if you look hard enough.
That is great. Well, we'll keep an eye out for it. And you can throw it into our self-promo channel too on the Discord when the time is right. So thank you again for coming, Jade, and thank you all at home for watching us. We will be back again, of course, on Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern with James and I for the Weekly Dweeb. Han Shot first, Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And if I can get to it today, a preview review of the, what is it, Dear Satan? Jack Black plays Satan, and he gets a letter from a child who can't spell Santa. And hilarity ensues, is what I assume.
We've all made that mistake. We've all made that mistake.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. It can happen to anybody. So we'll be checking out that preview review, and be on the lookout for more videos and all that good stuff. Turn those notifications on, because we do have a bit of a random upload schedule outside of the weekly stream dates. So without further ado, we will give you the rest of your day back, gang. Until next time, have a good one, dweebs.
Bye.